Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 12, aka the finale, aka the award show of the Nerds at Large Anime Gauntlet for Spring 2021. I am Jeff Mayo. This man right here, moving and shaking, is Darby Hallman. And that boy that's about to say his last anime quote of the season is Alex Boone.
I actually don't have an anime quote. I have something that I noticed.
How dare you?
I was watching a Los Angeles Angels game, and Shohei Ohtani was walking out, and his walkout song is the ending to Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, damn.
I thought I heard it at first. I was like, wait, what? And then whenever he came up to bat again, I was like, oh yeah, it is. It is.
Is that the Paradise song? Or
Yeah. Dun, 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 yeah.
It's fucking
Man of
slaps.
culture, I see.
Dude, it's really good. And I want to believe Shohei Ohtani watches Jujutsu Kaisen.
It's either that or he just found it on YouTube and he's like, this slaps.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
This is going to be my shit. It's like, Jeff, what are we doing?
Well, as I mentioned, this is the finale. All our shows are done, or as done as they're going to be for the season. There's still, 9 episodes left of 2-Year Eternity, but we will talk about those when it's all said and done. We will come back and reconvene for that. But for now, before we get to the actual awards, we got to talk about a couple shows. We got to talk about the last episode of Shadow House, which was the only one that still needed an episode. But also, we're going to talk about a show we killed, but brought back for one last time.
Fucking ungodly zombie that we've resurrected from the dead.
We decided for some ungodly reason to watch the last episode of Joran, the Princess of Snow and Blood. And by we, I mean me and Darby, and not Alex, who's a pussy-ass bitch.
We all did.
Alex is flaking out on us. Yep. He's too scared. Alex, how do you think Joran ended?
How do you think Joran ended? I believe it was probably a big boss fight with against one of the characters that's her friends from the opening. This might get the boss. I'm guessing the boss.
You're kind of right. She did go there to try to fight that guy who injected himself with Yuki or whatever her name's blood. And is now a raven person. It has wings and can fly now.
Oh, okay.
But they did not actually fight. She kind of swung her sword at him a couple times, and he's like, "I'm going to kill the person or who did this to you or some shit." Flew away and killed the Shogun dude who was actually an old man this whole time, and died in a fire. When he could have flown away.
And he acted like he was gonna kill himself, but he just made a very superficial cut to his chest in a very dramatic fashion for some reason.
Did you see the little girl and the two other women as well? Were they in the episode?
Yes. So apparently,
Alex, the hilarious thing is, aside from that old man that he killed, there was not a single new character that we didn't know.
I honestly the first bit kind of went by the episodes that we actually watched kind of went through a full season over stuff where they killed the main villain. But now the time that we stopped watching to this, I'm like, I don't feel like much has happened.
Alex, you know how it ended? The last episode we watched ended with her and the blonde-haired chick talking on the roof.
Yeah.
They were basically having the exact same conversation at the beginning of this episode.
And every in the last episode we watched, they had it looks like all 3 of the main girls get killed. Well, none of them died. They all survived. So yeah, they do that. The blonde girl gave birth, blah, blah, blah. I forget the main girl's name.
Joran?
Not Joran. It's like Yuki or some shit.
The little girl,
sure.
you mean? You mean the little girl?
No, the girl actually on there. Her name's not Joran.
Her name's not Joran?
Her name is Yuki.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Asked her to take care of little girl. She was like, okay. But then later on, blonde girl and her husband or dude and baby left without little girl, and she's like, she's just stuck in her ways or some shit. She's just very determined or something. So they left little girl there
to die, I guess.
Yeah. And then on the way after all that, the Yuki saw big bad boss Raven dude like set fire to the place or something and saw it burning. She's crying. She starts walking back to the place where little girl is. Girl who we originally thought might have been was a dude, or they showed
She was dressing as a
the
dude.
dude
like,
dressing as a
yeah.
dude. Came from behind out of nowhere, stabbed Yuki, but it was so subtle we were not sure what was happening.
Oh yeah, no, everything that happened before, whatever, it was all bad and dumb. But like this, Alex, this was the shit. She comes up and stabs her just very nonchalantly as she's walking, and like she sits there for a minute, like looking up. And like she drops something, she stands there for a minute, and then she reaches down, grabs her things, and keeps walking. We're like, okay, was she just stabbed? And then she goes home to the little girl, like fixes dinner for the little girl, does all this other stuff.
They're
And it's
talking
obvious.
about like dinner and the future.
They're
and all
talking
that
about
shit.
stuff, and then there's like a time skip to where later they're like sitting on the back porch, and the little girl is talking to her, and she's just like slowly curling herself up, like. Literally, she got stabbed and then died over the course of like 7 hours.
And she just died while leaning on this little girl without mentioning a thing. It's like, what? It took so long for you to die. Why don't you just go to a doctor? Why are you leaving this little girl alone?
It literally, she just went about her day. Like her body did not act like she was stabbed at all. She was just like walking out. Okay, yep. Now I'm gonna go talk to you, do all this. Now I'm gonna sit here and listen to you. Oh, I'm feeling a little tired. Oh, I'm feeling a little more tired. And then apparently she dies. Like,
Yeah, they show at some point there's some blood that trickles down behind her, but it wasn't much. You'd think there'd be a lot more.
it was absurd. It's like, yeah, it took you like 12 hours to die. Go to a doctor, you idiot.
And then at the end of the time skip, little girl's now big girl. She somehow got Yuki blood and is now the partner with the White Raven. And the end. And like, I guess hint at a new season.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
It was very bad. Even the final battle when it's like, okay, we're going into the cool like
Art style.
Okami type
Yeah.
art style thing. It just did it for like a second, and really she didn't even fight much in it. She just like cried a bunch, and then that was the final fight. Yeah, it was bad.
But what was worse? Was it this Joran episode or the episode of Shadow House?
Let's transition to that show. House.
I don't know, dude. I was gonna say Joran entertained me with the whole stabbing and then walking around for 7 hours. Like that entertained me because it was so stupid.
It wasn't a pointless episode though that you watched and literally nothing happened.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things that once you get to end, it's like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot more sense now we know this is anime only. Doesn't excuse the bullshit. But at least for like me personally, who has been interested up to the point where I know it's anime only, it's like, okay, I feel good about jumping to the manga at least.
I will agree. Like the anime, as soon as they hit the anime only stuff, you could just fucking tell. These last 2 episodes have been really.
Well, I just hate
this episode was really bad, especially with like I said it last week. There's like this entire plot line is just gonna be pointless because they can't like resolve anything. So you're just going to run around in a circle and everyone's going to be fine.
Well, yeah, you're definitely right. I didn't realize how right you were going to be. Where literally nothing. Edward had no repercussions.
Nope.
Nothing really happened. There wasn't the most thing of relevance that happened is Louise's power got revealed. Even that's a small thing. Yeah, that's the most.
And then John as well got. Is it John the boy?
Yeah,
basically,
John.
whenever the Raven thing went away, and it literally doesn't show him, and then whenever it cuts back like later on, it's like, yeah, I just grabbed onto the back of the Raven, but they didn't show it at all. He just said he did it. It was safe.
It was so abundantly clear that they probably did not have any good ending for the season as far as manga material, so they wanted to make up some dramatic thing to have at the end, but they couldn't actually do anything with it and change the story at all, so they just made up this thing to have this big climactic thing with Edward and like, ha, we all got you, we trapped you, whatever, and it definitely feels like a big like end of arc 1 type thing. But then for them to go in front of the Lord Grandfather and literally they're like, all right, we said last time was your last chance. This is your last chance. And he's in the same position. Everyone's in the literally nothing has changed. Nothing moved in any way because of these events.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of anime only endings, so I already knew how it was going to go. It's just going to be this entire thing, and everyone's going to be in the same position because they cannot physically change the status quo, so they can continue it for season 2. They literally cannot change the status quo. This should have been an 8-episode season because they did not have a good finale set up just because how the manga was. Like, they could have had a short enough arc.
Or not necessarily 8 episodes. They could have done the roughly 10 before this thing went to shit. And just have the, like, if they're wanting to go forward, have the end of season stinger being them being mind controlled by the coffee.
Yeah. That'd be great.
I mean, that would have been great.
I guess that's assuming that goes somewhere in the manga. I would hope it does because it went nowhere in here.
I guess the one thing that actually happened is they dropped that mind control thing quick. But yeah, like you said, I'm hoping that's a actually bigger deal because that's an interesting plot to follow.
It's one of those things. It's a good show up until the end where it just it's just clear they just did not have an ending for the anime at all.
Yeah, and I think I saw something as far as maybe more reason why they did it. Apparently, when this anime got the greenlit, the manga was pretty much right past where before the anime only stuff happened. So they didn't have like a crazy amount of more material.
You can feel that, yeah. You can feel the kind of spinning their wheels and stalling for time.
Yeah.
Honestly, even before this last episode. I mean, like, I agree the season was good overall, but it's still, even at the end, even before the anime only thing, it still kind of felt like we haven't gotten to the actual show. It still feels like it's like, okay, all right, you know, like there was definitely a lot of time there where it just felt like, okay, we have 3 episodes. I don't know, like, let's just like stall this out a little bit. So like I wasn't super satisfied even before this, and then this ending was just very bad, I feel like.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, I would not have much interest in season 2. I mean, it certainly wasn't a bad show, but compared to
go ahead.
I
was gonna say I would be fine following a season 2, but season 2, like if it didn't pick up within the first couple of episodes, I would be long gone.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty big gap between this show and then the top 4 for like our list here, you know. Unfortunately, I mean, I think this show had moments where I was like, wow, it's really, you know, it's starting to be interesting, but I think it was just always like teasing you along. And then it kind of sucks that these last few episodes feel like they almost went too fast, or they just dropped things like as soon as they introduced them, and I was like, you went from too slow to too fast. It was weird. It's bizarre. Not the best finale.
Indeed.
For sure. But a lot of our other shows were fantastic, and we're about to talk about how fantastic they are because we are doing the first ever Anime Gauntlet Awards for Spring 2021. We have a bunch of categories that we are going to go through. We are not talking about Joran. Go away, Joran. You missed your chance. And yeah, we have a bunch of categories that we did, like top 3s to top 5s for, and so we're going to talk about those. And then Alex has done calculations. He ran the numbers. He got the team, the squad in the lab, long hours in the lab to figure out who wins at each category.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We do have some ties in places. And I have done the top 3, so a bronze, silver, and gold medal. It's everything. And I do have honorable mentions as well.
Cool.
For the ones that got votes, but were able to crack that top 3.
Cool.
All right, sweet. Well, I guess, Jeff, you can bring us on each category. And I guess, like, do you want each of us can just say what ours is, like run down what ours is, and then we can discuss or something?
Yeah. All right. First one, we got Best Boy.
Best boy, there it is.
Best boy.
Yay.
Guess let me. Someone go ahead while I pull up stuff.
Okay, well, mine for best boy, my number 1 is Odokawa. He was the best. I think he was the best character out of all of these in any of these shows. My number 2 was Chief, which I also think was definitely the strongest character in Megalobox, for sure, and had the most impact on me. My number 3 was Shin, who I am like I'm just surprised because that type of character is normally not necessarily my jam, but I think they handled him very well. My number 4 is Dobu. Dobu's great, and my number 5 is Fushi.
Hey, Odokawa number 1 is for me as well. Then you got Chief as well. I'm just copying Darby.
Yeah.
But then you got Fushi. Gotta love little orb man. Gugu and Dobu. It's probably one of my favorite characters in Odd Taxi. Probably Odokawa is definitely my favorite, but Dobu is a close second, honestly.
Same.
I got my number 1. Got my boy Gugu. I mean, come on, what? How can't you love that little guy or big guy, depending what we're talking about?
Both.
Very loyal. He was a good brother to Fushi. R.I.P. Best boy.
It's damn sure.
Yep. Odokawa. Yep. It was hard for me to go like, okay, yeah, do I put Odokawa, Gugu, or my number 1? Like, you know what? Gugu's just too pure for this world. Look at that. Odokawa is a close second. Great main character. It was a very interesting one. Very hard to figure out.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Chief. I mean, come on. It's Chief. Shin. Yeah, surprised me a lot. I did not expect going into this that I enjoy Shin as a character as much as I did.
Absolutely.
He's very good. Also, R.I.P.
Sorry.
And Fushi, the boy. It's been interesting to see him grow so far.
Yeah, that's the main reason I voted there. It's definitely the character with the most character growth because it was really a motionless orb at the beginning of it. So
yeah, it's
kind of
actually
hard to start from lower.
It's an impressive amount of change for a character to go through to the point where that finale, like whenever the emotion that he was, I think it almost makes his emotions like come across even stronger since he is very pure because he is, he's basically like a child. It's like, which is very strong. But yeah, interesting. Most of ours were all the same, except I didn't have Gugu and he had Gugu and above Odokawa.
I had Dobu.
I had no Shin.
Yeah, no Dobu. Yeah. Jeff's more of a Gugu man.
My Fire Raven boys.
Dobu man, yeah.
Because Jeff is such a Gugu man, though, Gugu does get the bronze medal.
Let's go.
Nice.
In terms of the votes.
Nice.
Followed closely by Chief with silver, and then gold's pretty obvious. It's Odokawa. He kind of ran away with it.
You know what? My top 3. Let's go.
Some good boys this season. I think there's gonna be a lot of Odd Taxi taking gold in these categories.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not to spoil. I think yeah.
Well, yeah. Very, very good boys in this list.
Yep.
Very strong list of boys.
Well, let's see how strong the list of girls is in the best girl category.
Who is best girl? Well, my number 1 is March. It's just too much emotion.
Yeah.
Like they knew what they were doing and it fucking worked. My number 2 is Lena, which again, her and Shin both. It's like I expected to be a lot more annoyed by than I was, but I think they go on like pretty awesome arcs. My number 3, very close number 3, is Perona. She was also like that whole arc in 2 Year Eternity was definitely my favorite, and she was like a very, very strong part. Number 4, Shirakawa, for so many reasons. She's just great and hilarious, and like actually a very smart and strong character, but like also kind of fucked up in some ways. It's interesting. It's good. And number 5, Emilico, so positive. Kind of feed off the positivity.
Right. I'll go next. Number 1, also March. Just like Dari said, how can you not love her? So much emotion. You felt that.
Absolutely.
And similar way. Number 2, Perona. Very close to her in that arc, and you can also feel her emotion. And it's one of those characters. Like I knew she was going to be a big part of that arc, but I knew March we were going to care about. I could tell pretty quickly, but Perona I was surprised by him. Is like, no, I really like you too, and I hope you come back. She comes back in the show and not die.
Yeah, but I mean, especially like it got dark with her. Like she almost killed herself, and you're like, no, God, please, no.
Yeah, I just really like her relationship with March was great. Shirakawa, she was a very enjoyable character, and I just loved, like, kind of like a lot of you, just a badass female character. It was like, she was funny, and then, she kicked ass.
Yeah.
Lena as my number 4, kind of like with Shin, surprise. I think saying surprise for 86 will be something we've been saying all season. Lena was very good. Didn't get as much focus at the 86 in the end, close to the season, but obviously we're going to be getting a lot of her, and I am very excited once we get part 2. And I have Kate as my number 5 from Shadow's House. I was toying with her or Miliko, but I decided Miliko's like my number 6 if I had to pick. But I put Kate there because I think from a character, at least where they left her, I feel like as far as her stuff, the last couple episodes did better for her because it still kind of kept that mystery there. Like, okay, how much does she know, and what exactly is her thing Edward's talking about? That kind of put her over for Miliko for me. Alex?
Okay, so I chose Lena as number 1, similar to the reasons y'all chose March. It's just like every scene with her where she's like just breaking down with the 86 dying, all that. I don't know. I just really like the character all throughout.
Yeah, it makes me happy to see you. There was not to spoil things, but like I definitely got the sense that it was like, oh, Alex likes 86 like more than I even thought he did when I got to some of the other things.
Yeah, I think I voted for 86 pretty high on a lot.
Yeah.
And Miliko, I think I have Miliko that high. I don't know. I just like the vibes. I just like Miliko.
I understand. No,
I think that's just it. Just up there.
I think sorry, Alex.
Okay, good.
But all these anime do the sunshine characters a lot, but Emilico is one of the better done ones.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It was definitely in that first episode I was like, okay, you're a lot, but like it definitely got to like they put her in very real situations, and she was bright and sunshiny, but not like in a completely naive way. She was also like smart, they did it very well.
That's the thing. She actually developed throughout the season, and I think that's the main reason she's up there. March, obviously up there for the same reasons y'all do. It's just her entire impact on the show and on Fushi.
Yes.
Just so great. Shirakawa, I actually would have had higher if she was in more of the show. I actually do love her character a lot, but I think her lack of screen time is the only reason I have her down at 4th.
Yeah,
she actually probably would have been 2 if she was like a bigger part of the show. And Kate's there just because how well she complements Miliko. I don't know who would actually take the 5th spot over her, but yeah, she just complimented Miliko a lot. And like Jeff said, they left her off in a lot better spot in the show than most
every other character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, very, very strong characters here too. And I have a feeling like Lena is going to even become a better character because I really feel like we really just got like her origin story basically now, like going into season 2.
Yep.
So.
Okay, Alex, tell us those medals.
Go back. Bronze is a tie with Perona and Shirakawa.
Let's go.
Nice. We like that.
With silver, Lena takes it.
Nice.
And again, with another runaway victory at gold, March wins.
There we go.
Yeah, you love to see it.
There we go.
But what openings do we love to see?
Well, lots of them.
Yep. All righty. Alex, you go first this time.
Okay.
You don't mind.
Like everyone else, Odd Taxi was my number 1.
Spoiler! Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, everyone's watching this now.
Yeah. It's a video podcast. It's there. It's there. I'm bad with breaking down music to explain why. It just slaps. It's just good.
It freaking does. And the visuals going along with it is just like really perfect.
That's another thing with these anime openings. The visuals are like half of it. And like half the vote comes down to the visuals for me. To Your Eternity, it's just really good. I actually like whenever I was doing the anime openings and endings, I rewatched all of them and I just ordered them as I watched them. And To Your Eternity, I was actually getting a little teary watching it. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Hell yeah.
See, there's so much goo in there, and I was just like, oh.
That opening
Damn.
gets better the more you watch the show.
Yeah, it does.
As it evolves.
Yeah. Here's the thing: I wouldn't have had that high at the beginning of the season, but literally as I was watching it, I had it like kind of like maybe fourth, and then as I was watching, I kept moving it up, and by the end, I was like, it has to go second. There's no other way.
Plus, Ikari Utada during the song. You can't go wrong.
No, yeah. You're already golden there, but then the visuals are like really well done.
Yep.
And again, the way they timed that, the like flashing of all the different like flashing between a bunch of different things, but it goes so fast you almost can't comprehend it, but it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Or 86, I just really like the instrumentals to the song they use. It's just really good. And the besides Odd Taxi and To Your Eternity, which do have like the best visuals, 86 is definitely like third in terms of just the visuals of everything happening on the screen. And all like the hints throughout the entire like season that it gives. And I just really like the instrumental. That there's just one part with the guitar that just I really like.
Oh yeah, that math rock. I love it so much.
Joran's visuals are very weak, but at least the song kind of kicks ass.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was like, I saw y'all had Joran. I remember Joran being good. Let me go back and watch it, and I was like, yeah, the visuals did nothing for me, so I had to drop it all the way off because I was like, yeah, this is kind of just nothing. But the song is good, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually the reason I don't have Megalobox that high, because the song is simple and the visuals are simple, which are fine. They're good. It's just it was kind of hard for me to move Megalobox higher than fifth. Just I thought everything was solid, not like it's like I liked it. Main reason is they're very simple and like to the point, like opening for Megalobox.
All right, you want to go ahead, Jeff?
Sure. Number 1, Odd Taxi. I shall move on. I had 2 at Megalobox. I was really touring. Like, yeah, I get what Alex is saying, why you put it at 5th, but for some reason that was just kind of very effective to me. Like the song is just kind of, it is simpler, but it's just kind of hype, and with the visuals being similar, I don't know. It just, I think it works really well.
It's my number 3. I'm with you. It's subtle, and there's a lot of things with Megalobox music, and especially we'll get to the closer is like even more so. But it's like, yeah, something about the, especially when they would have like a really hype cold open, and it would go to that strum that it was like okay, here we fucking go. It has that like Spanish guitar Mexican theme to it that was like really really cool.
Yeah,
I kind of wish they used the opening like in some of their like big scenes. I think it would have stuck with me more. I think that's the reason, like the other one stuck with me. They like the way they were utilized inside the show itself as well was really good.
Yeah.
I had my number 3, To Your Eternity. Kind of like Alex said, it was just really good, and just song slaps. The visuals are great, and it's kind of just fun. Yeah, watching it each episode, it's like, oh, what did this mean? It's like, oh, this was a red herring. Oh, this actually kind of spoiled something. Oh. That was the fun ride.
Oh yeah,
the point where it's like, I want to watch this, but I kind of don't.
And there was like so much going on in it that I was like, is that new? Is that different than before? I don't know for sure.
Yeah. I put VV at number 4. Like the visuals of it. I like the song, and I like how it's just kind of a big old concert. Yeah, it's kind of fancy visuals going on. At number 5, I have Joran. Kind of like with Alex. The visuals aren't the best. They can be pretty cool. But I like the song. So that's what I got at number 5.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have too much more to add. Obviously, Odd Taxi is number 1. It's one of my favorite anime openings ever. Now it's really, really, really good. To Your Eternity for the same reasons. The showing the different things throughout the show. It shows the most of the actual show of any of these openings, but it just does it in such a cool, tasteful way. That's awesome. I had Megalobox as number 3. I agree with Jeff. It is simple, and I definitely can get why it would be lower. But for me, it's so memorable. Like as soon as I hear that, and I kind of love that it's season 1 was this like classic rock, like or a almost like thrash metal-y type song or whatever. And I like that this was like all instrumental and very like it has this whole like kind of like in the wasteland Spanish nomad type theme that I think just like works really well. Number 4 is 86. I agree with Alex. Like every single time that played, I'm like, da, na, na, na. I love that shit. That song was like very, very hype. And that was another one that would like have something cool play or something and then go right into that theme song. That was just hype as hell. And my number 5 is actually Shadow's House. I went through a lot of different ones. I had VV up there. I had a bunch of different ones like competing for this. But I watched them all like several times back and forth to try to decide. And I ended up coming like, even though I think the Shadow's House closer is way stronger, I really like this one. And like again, it's another one that built really well from the cold opens because that like musical cue of it like coming up and then like it has this very like haunted house vibe that I think works really well.
That was honestly the one like for the 5th spot I was fighting like, okay, Joran or this, but I ended up landing on Joran. Probably give it a little more love.
There's a lot of openings, honestly, that were really good. Like most of the openings in the even to the bad shows.
I think there are ones where there's at least like 1 or 2 on each of our lists that are different. None of the other 2 have, but we're like, yeah.
And I think the visuals in the Shadow's House thing is really cool with the different people and their shadows and the colors coordinated with them.
I think part of the reason that I decided against it from a critique standpoint is just kind of like the still pictures or whatever. Those are kind of cool, but if they did more of like the whole dancing thing throughout it, that would have done it.
Then they kind of did like the closer spoilers is phenomenal. So it's like
Well, Darby, let's talk about that closer. If you want to continue, Darby, and talk about it, go for it.
Yes. Number 1, Shadow's House. God, I just love that ending so much. The song and the visuals and everything.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just realized I skipped over the medals for that.
Yeah.
Alex, go ahead. Sorry.
My apologies.
Okay, bronze medal, Megalobox. The silver, obviously To Your Eternity, and the gold medal. Do I need to say it? Super Cub. I mean, Taxi.
Yes. No surprise.
Super Cub, literally, I don't think it has an opening. Like, I looked at like the episodes, I think it just plays. I think it has a closing. It doesn't even have an opening.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
It doesn't have an opening.
Yep. Well, now let's talk about them closing, Dory. Continue.
For some reason, I'm frozen and can't get the thing to pull up.
How dare you?
That's sad. Huh. Okay. I need the list to know. Oh no. I might have to have like Alex. Okay, all right. Hold on, we're almost there. Okay, sorry. I can do some things now. I still can't freaking scroll though.
There we go.
All right, I'm gonna have to pull up the sheets somewhere else because I don't remember my list on the top of my head. Holy shit! I don't know why this isn't working. Holy shit! Well, if someone else remembers theirs, you can start.
I just got the thing up. I'll go. I didn't have a 4th one. I honestly couldn't tell you why. But I got or a 5th one. Sorry, I got 4. Number 1, Shadow's House, just great. It's. That thing starts like, okay, we're done. Screw it. Visuals are nice and cool with the way it's, just kind of like with this whole thing mirrors Emilico and Kate throughout it. It is very enjoyable. I got Tokyo Revengers at 2. I don't know. I just really like this one. Just the music and the visuals of it, even if technically the romance or lack thereof or whatever behind it is not the best in the actual show. I think it's a very cool closer. Megalobox. It is a very simple one, but the song, it slaps. And that's all you need sometimes. And number 4, Odd Taxi. Kind of same thing with Megalobox, kind of simple, colorful visuals, all that. Song does slap.
Yep. For my number 1, I have 86. Why? Because I was listening through all the endings, and 86 was the last one I listened to, and I started listening to it, and I was just like, wow, this ending is actually really good. And also for context, I also just finished watching Shadow House. So I was a little down on Shadow House when I was making all the votes. So when I listened to A6, I started remembering things like, wow, every time this song kicked on, because it would kick on like about 10 seconds before the episode end, and you would always have like that impactful like death or something. This would be and the song would be playing. I was like, no, what? This thing is amazing. The visuals aren't much, but the impact it has to like as the show ends, I just really liked.
Oh no!
I really like the show.
Yeah, whenever because I did this last and I saw that was your first one. I was like, that's interesting. I was like, I wonder like what even is the closing that we're talking about? And I went back to some episodes because it's not like a set visual. It closes with the show or whatever.
Yep.
And it's like you're totally right. It was like okay, like as soon as that song started playing, it's like yep, I was like tearing up multiple times while the song was playing. It's like yeah, it's really you're totally right. I wasn't thinking about it.
That's the reason I have it number one, is because the impact it has on the show. Even though the song and visuals, the Shower House are amazing, that's the reason I have it number two. That is the main reason I have 86 at number one. And then the Megalobox, obviously, it's just credits with that just song, and I just really like the song. It's just really good. Like it's one of those things that like as soon as like Megalobox like flips over to the song, you just get the emotional vibes with it as it goes. Tokyo Revengers, visuals or whatever, but the song kind of slaps. And same thing with Odd Taxi. Like I don't really like the song, but I do like the visuals. So it's just kind of a fun ending as it goes.
I like the song.
You like the song? I don't really like the song that much. It's kind of a dumb song, but I like the visuals.
It's dumb. It's great. Oh yeah, it's me. Okay. Shadow's House, I think that's just the undefeated champ for me as far as the closing, because just every time that do, it was really, 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 really good. And the visuals of like them, Kate and Miliko going up the stairs, going down the stairs, there's just lots of like really dope shit in there. It's really sweet. In the complete opposite way, yeah, I agree. Megalobox 2, like that was such a just cool end cap to Megalobox every week. It just felt like even if something like really sad or really dramatic happened, that just kind of felt like it's like we're coming down off of this, and it was just like a nice and because a lot of the Megalobox episodes, especially early on, were more like kind of subdued character studies and less crazy hard action, so it just felt right. Odd Taxi is definitely a little more dumb, but like I kind of like love how goofy that song is, because every single time the ending would come, me and Jeff were sitting there screaming like, no, it can't end, what the hell? And it would like something batshit insane would happen, and it would immediately cut to dancing. I'm like, oh my god, you assholes. It was really good. Like I started associating that dumb song with like I really liked it. But 86 is my number 4. It honestly probably should be my number 3 because of like everything we talked about with Alex. But I agree that song was very impactful, kind of in the context of the show. And then I have Tokyo Revengers. I honestly don't really like the visuals of it really all that much, but the song is really cool. The song is enough to get it there. But like I watched back through it and I was like, yeah, I mean, partially I just don't like the art style of that show, to be honest, and like the way the characters look as part of it. But
I can see it, the heavy outlines and stuff like that.
I think we mentioned this before. It bothers me in the opening, the designs, but most other times it honestly doesn't.
Though I hate the way they move in the opening though.
Yeah,
they like move like weird animatronics. It's odd.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the bronze medal, a sort of surprise, Tokyo Revengers gets it. It's just the way the points work out. Yeah. Just the way the points worked out, Tokyo Revengers gets the bronze.
Interesting.
Yeah. With the silver medal goes Megalobox.
Deserved.
Yep.
And again, another runaway victory for the gold with the Shadow House.
Shadow's House.
Probably gonna be one of the few wins for Shadow House, but it had to get that one. I mean, that was like, come on.
Yes.
Come on.
You're telling me they're not going to win in Best Couple?
Yeah, I struggled hard with Best Couple, I'll be honest with you.
I should have done a Miliko and Kate on here. This is one of the ones I ended up changing because I noticed I had a glaring mistake that for
But
some
Alex, would
reason
that be like
got added.
incest or something? Or I don't know. What would that be?
I guess it doesn't have to be a
mean,
romantic couple.
It doesn't have to be romantic,
I know.
But I did pretty much just. do
especially
it.
with some of the ones I have.
That's
They
up.
don't have to be romantic.
Yeah, I think this is like our weakest category. It's like-
Hey, but I decided to add jokes, and I hope I inspired y'all.
yeah.
Okay, I'll go first because I have some oopsies. My number one's actually Odokawa and Shirakawa.
Okay.
God, that's actually kind of hard to say.
Kawa
together.
Shirakawa. Gugurine.
I thought I put this on. I thought I put this first, and then I noticed whenever I was going through and doing the thing, it's like, oh, why don't I have this first? It's supposed to be first. So I just went ahead and fixed that. Then I have Gugu and Reen. Then I have Setsu and his Shamashin, which I didn't know how to spell Shamashin, and I didn't know Darby was going to screenshot this, so I would have actually looked up how to spell it.
Yeah.
No, I
Everyone gets to see.
So, it's probably completely misspelled.
And we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
Except I would like for Chavez and Man to not be winning any awards, but you know, here we are.
And then I got Koguma and her cub. Again, I have them kind of I have mine kind of changed. And then Pyran and Boozman. Is that how you say her name?
I have no
Hyran.
clue. I had no clue that was her name until I saw y'all's typed out
Hyran.
things here.
I know they
They-
said it, but I had to look it up
They
again.
said it, but I never heard. Like I never could really hear the pronunciation of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't have any justifications for any of mine, by the way, except for Odokawa and Shirakawa because they're just amazing.
It's true.
My other ones are just big goofs, and I also have Gugu and Ren just because actual couple.
Yeah, I have two that I actually I guess I'll just go next. My top two I actually like really like. The rest of them is kind of late to fill up the categories. Number one is Odokawa and Shirakawa. I mean, it's just their chemistry was amazing, and just Odokawa's like kind of going back and forth, like he wants to be with her, but he also has this weird sense of justice about things, and it's like it was just really good. And how she was just like, no, fuck you, we're gonna do this. It's like, yeah, I like it. My second, I don't care. I'm going with that. I mean, they're not like an official couple, but I think Shin and Lena's
Definitely not anymore.
dynamics and everything. There's obviously a connection there, and the fact that connection happened completely over just phone conversations, basically. I actually really dug their connection they had. I think it meant more to Lena than the Shin, but I thought it was a strong connection, so that's my number two. After that, who cares about the rest? I have Koguma and their cub, so because I guess you want to get someone who looks at you the way that she looks at her cub. Then I have Boozman and Piran because they're funny. And then I have Mac and Maya just to fill out the things. Like, whatever, they're just a couple. I mean, is there anything special about their relationship? I don't know.
Well, let me get to my list. Number one, Odokawa, Shirakawa, for reasons said. They're just an interesting couple with the way their dynamic was and actual kind of drama around it compared to the rest of these.
Yes.
I have Mac and Maya at number two. Yes, they were a basic ass couple, but I think it fit that world. And, as far as, some motivation and stuff that happened, and it was based off that love, and that's at least something different than a lot of these other ones besides Odokawa, Shirakawa.
Sure.
Boozman and Piran, they're just a funny old couple. Their love is pure, but not as pure as Koguma and her cup. And for my last number 5 jokey answer, it's Mikey and Draken from Tokyo Revengers. I mean, there's no pure love in those two. Let's be honest.
Do they kiss at some point?
I don't know.
You think they kiss?
Probably not.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I mean, I want it to happen. Obviously, I put them in my best couple, but
Now, of course, since we added a lot of joke answers, some of them did infiltrate the medals.
Let's go.
So with the bronze medal, Pure Ran and Boozman.
Hell yeah. They get their medal.
With the silver, and arguably this silver should have been the gold, but it's Koguma and her cub.
Let's
And
go.
with gold, it's Odokawa and Shirakawa. They just
Whatever.
again first places all around for them.
Yep. All right. We talked about love. Let's talk about hate. Let's talk about best fights.
Boy.
I go first since I don't think I've gone first in a while. My number one, Fushi versus Bear. There's a crazy fight where it's like, oh yeah, this show is for real, and just had very cool animation for it, especially, and I think choreography as far as Fushi getting torn apart and him coming back together and just everything around it. I think it was great. Shirakawa versus Yamamoto. This is mainly just a funny one.
Oh yeah.
It lasted 5 seconds, but oh boy, did I laugh. It was great. Mac and Lou Megalobox. This is one of those. Yeah, this is a regular straight up boxing fight, and I think I can kind of look and say we all agreed the best boxing match in Megalobox. Yes. So obviously that needs to be on this list, and it was just very visceral compared to about any other Megalobox match.
Oh yeah.
I put Vivi versus Elizabeth on here. I was trying to think, okay, yeah, what fights can we do? What ones do we have? I'm like, we definitely had some during Vivi, and it's like, you know, no matter how we felt the show, animation stuff for some of those fights were great.
Yeah.
And this is the one, thinking back, okay, this one stood out. Mm-hmm. I watched it again, it's like, yeah, the animation's top notch. I threw 86 versus Legion on here as kind of a all-encompassing thing, because I just wanted to kind of give a shout out for it. Didn't have much, like there's nothing they used a lot, but they did a really good job with the animation, and I think I guess choreography and stuff for when they did do it.
Yeah, this is a weird one to me because like 86 versus Legion is definitely like my favorite action in like the show or whatever, like whenever they did that. But I had trouble like putting on fight, like I was gonna put on fight too, but I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about, specific fight I'm talking about, because like there was kind of the final battle, but I mean, it was more just like every time they interacted. It was like I couldn't really like pinpoint a single one.
I made it kind of a cop-out answer, but you know, it's the war versus.
Yeah, I put them in another category that I think more that lets me do that. But I definitely, like, I wanted to throw a bone to that too, because I thought the action in 86 was like better than any of the rest of the shows, I think.
Oh yeah.
My number one is Mac versus Lou. I think like for me, it's like that is like number one with a bullet. I really, really, really like that fight a lot. Like I remember I would like had a big reaction afterwards where I was like, well, you've seen a lot of Megalobox fights, and that was not like any of them. That was had a completely different vibe, almost a like scary vibe. It was like Mac is kind of scary right now, and it's like someone's gonna get like horribly hurt, and sure enough, yes, they did. But I thought that like Megalobox definitely has a way of doing boxing fights, and it's like not the most like crazy visual realistic, or it is realistic, but it's more just, you know, like kind of like grappling, doing a thing, and like there was a formula to it.
Yeah.
And so when we go into this is like one of the first big fights we've had like this in the show, and it was like just the camera angles were different. It was like way more detail, and like it just felt visceral, and I really, really, that stuck with me a lot. So it was definitely number one for me. Then I have Fushi versus Bear. Like you said, it was kind of, that was the first big kind of set piece fight for To Your Eternity that like we were all talking about, the like, when's the bear gonna you know, we saw the bear there, it was like, and then like, fuck it,
Yeah,
you know, it's like, here we go. And then I had Fushi versus the Knockers, specifically the one in the finale, like whenever he turns into Gugu and everything. I thought that fight was like, I mean, it was partially the emotions of Gugu and everything in there, but I just picture like him running at it as Gugu saying like, Gugu's not there. I was like, I just thought that was like, it got me, and that was like really cool. Chirikawa versus Yamamoto, same reason, it's just fucking funny. That's great. And then I also have Vivi versus Elizabeth, because that was definitely the most standout fight in Vivi, and it was very good.
Yes.
Okay, so number one, Fushi versus the bear, and I guess the big reason for it is because the animation to it is just so good, and it was the first time you got to see like kind of Fushi actually fight someone in Mortal Kombat and use his regenerating powers to just overwhelm an opponent. So I thought it was pretty cool. Mac versus Lou, I have it number two. And the main reason I have it number 2 is it's going into the fight. The entire time they were basically setting Lou up as like almost the big bad of the entire season, just to like turn around on you and have Mac literally paralyze the man. It's like, oh, I see. Shirakawa Yamamoto, it's just a funny fight. It's just funny. Just shows up and just flips him. It's just funny. I did make a change here on this list. I knocked Vivi and Elizabeth down one, and at 4th I actually have Gugu versus the Knockers.
Nice.
Wherever he is just very drunk from his rupturing stomach. He's running out there. I don't know. It's kind of a funny scene too, with his interaction with Reen's parents and like Booze Man and all that. And he goes back there and goes back and just burns him down. I don't know. It's like a funny but intense scene at the same time. And Vivi and Elizabeth I have here because it's probably the most well animated fight on the entire list.
Yeah.
Or in the entire show. It's just I was already kind of checking out of Vivi by then. So it didn't have an impact on me whenever it happened. But it just looked really cool.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
What's the medals?
Medal. Okay, with the bronze medal, Shirakawa versus Yamamoto, the quickest knockout we have on here. With the silver medal, we have our most brutal knockout with Mac versus Lou.
Very nice.
And with the gold, we have our Fushi versus Bear.
Yep. Yeah, I love that every one of these seems to have like 2 people with one answer, and the other person has it as number 2, and has it seems like that happens every time.
Now let's see if that happens with best score.
Okay, well this one's funny because the results to these are you'll see them as soon as they pull up. There's no need for me to tell you the medals on these.
Yeah. Wait, Jeff, you want to join with me with the top 3? Because we literally have the same top 3.
Sure, let's go. Oh yeah, we have the exact same.
We have the exact same top. We have the same 5. We have the same order for the top 3.
Okay, all right, let's join in together.
Megalobox.
Yeah.
I mean, goddamn. It's just like, I mean, the songs, obviously, the intro and outro, but the hype.
Well, I think that makes sense because, we had the intro higher than Alex, where the songs really, what for me and you, put them both so high. Alex did for the outro, but for me and you. Yeah, it would for both, and obviously the stuff throughout the show.
It's also I also think even if you were not considering the intro and outro at all, Megalobox would still be my answer because like the way that they do the like Spanish guitar, very like subtle things earlier on, plus the hype up music, even when it's like very similar to season 1, there's something about those like hip hop beats that come in that it's like, fuck yes, let's go. It's great. But I wasn't expecting the whole like the guitar that was used a lot in here that was definitely not used in season 1. It was all hip hop in season 1, but it was very cool. Yep. Taxi. Number 2.
Taxi.
Yeah, a lot of this is definitely the intro music and everything, but I also think there was a good bit of other stuff going on. Again, more hip hop things and freaking Yano rapping everything, and every single time he talks, this beat plays. It was just so good. It's great. Number 3, Vivi, you take it away because that's
I don't know. It's fun. The music very epic, and just like the songs they with what they did with music and the fact that I forget the official name they have for Vivi, like the Vocaloid robot, whatever. I forget what exactly they call her, but Diva, and they have another, but Diva, robot. The way they use her songs throughout it, I really like, and just the music in general. It's very good.
It is very good.
Yeah, it's one of the I want to go back and watch the rest of it. I know I didn't do that, but I've just been very busy these last couple. But yeah.
And then my number 4 is 86. I feel like 86 is one of the only ones that actually has like action music like an action score or whatever, like in a traditional sense of like there's action, there's like dun dun, like things going on or whatever. Because like most of these are just not very action shows, but like like the kind of like set scenery, like background music. I feel like it actually had a lot more background music than most of these other shows, and I think it was very effective and everything.
Yes.
I don't think we had a sound design category, did we? I mean, I think the sound design in 86 was just like impeccable. And then I have 2 Year Eternity, a lot for the opening and closing. I don't think there was too much of note in the
I don't think it's a lot like Crazy or Memorable, but I do think when you think back to season, if you like rewatch them, the songs are good and really fit what's going on into it very well. Well, my 4 and 5 are those two, but flipped for pretty much the same reasons Darby did. I feel like they both did a really good job of picking the right songs for the right moment and just kind of get you in whatever mood that was at the time.
Ooh. So I have Odd Taxi, and the main reason I have Odd Taxi is because whenever they would flip from scene to scene, and whoever they were focusing on, like it was the score itself wasn't like super overly complicated, but every like character had like their own like song wherever they were on screen, and it just made it, I don't know, it just ingrains in your head whenever you see like Yano or something like that, and you have that hip hop sound in the background, or you see like Dobu and it has like Dobu's theme going on. I don't know, it just got you really into the scene whatever it had those characters around.
Right.
VV itself has a really good soundtrack, but the main reason it's this high is every single like insert song they had for like a big action scene was just amazing and just really good. Plus Vivi's songs herself were just also amazing. Megalobox, Spanish guitar, it's just good.
Yep.
86, I guess similar reason to Darby. It's just the only one with the action soundtrack, and it's the one like it's really good, but at the same time it wasn't like as noticeable to me until like a super big scene was happening, and then I noticed that every other scene it was just kind of like non-existent, which is fine. It didn't really need it, and it wasn't really the purpose. And 2 Year Eternity is kind of the same way. It's kind of like they use that void, but whenever they do use music, it's just really effective. Like the scene with Gugu dying, with March dying, with the boy dying, when everyone's dying.
When they
Just
should
really
have no
good.
happiness.
No happiness.
Okay,
Okay, so the medals might be a little controversial. So with the bronze medal, we have a tie with 86 and 2 Year Eternity.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So silver, we have Vivi. Yeah. And with gold, Odd Taxi and Megalobox.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
They can both take home. We'll give out participation trophies here. We give out lots of medals for that category.
I took a glimpse at the choices for the next one, and it's very funny. Best narrative.
I think I remember those.
So I don't think we have to go one by one.
See, on the screen, I actually have best narrative like before best score. So this is the one I thought was coming up.
Yeah,
and that's the reason I said it. Like, it's going to be very obvious, but yeah,
it kind of makes sense because for these shows, I feel like judging the narrative is judging the shows. Like they're all so narrative focused that it kind of makes sense that we would all be a lot like that. Would be like, okay, well, we know.
Yeah, and it makes sense for us that our top fives are going to be the shows that lasted, the five that we actually saw all the way through.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
So I'll just say it: bronze, 86, silver, 2 Year Eternity, and gold, Odd Taxi. We can still go over them.
Yeah.
But just a heads up, we all have the same 5.
Yes, in the exact same order.
It's hilarious.
So I don't think it's any surprise if anyone has listened to the show that our number one is Odd Taxi.
Yeah.
Just the way that narrative was spun and just everything, like just the whole thing, how characters and their storylines all intersected and all that. It was just masterfully done.
No, I 100% agree. 100%.
Like I'm so glad it stuck the landing, and that it is just a 13 episode thing. Is just a great, just one and done season thing. Makes it super easy
So
to recommend.
satisfying, so impressive that they could expand out this far, but still have it all come together in a way. That was so satisfying.
Again, it makes it easy to recommend to people, but I'm very glad this is about any of the shows, it's the one that we watch this week to week. It was so fun just kind of theorizing and stuff, and this is one of those shows where I'm glad we were able to do this.
Yes, me too. Yeah, number 2 is To Your Eternity, which is also, it's kind of one of those things. I think a lot of anime seasons, this probably would be the number 1 in the narrative category, I'm sure, but Odd Taxi was a special thing. But yeah, To Your Eternity, Odd Taxi, I think overall was the better told story overall. I mean, it helps because it was like one singular thing, whereas To Your Eternity is not even done yet. But if you talk about like what were the most impactful moments, I mean, like that first episode of To Your Eternity was easily probably the most impactful moment of any of these shows.
I feel like if we actually had a category of favorite like moments or most impactful moments, I'd probably have more To Your Eternity pretty much filling up my list. Because you look at those moments with March and Gugu, and the episode 1 with the boy and just everything else. It's just like it had all those moments. They're all really well done. They did such a good job, even they're probably going to die and everything, make you love these characters and then rip them away from you. It's I'm so glad this show's continuing for a little longer for the season. I can't wait to see where it goes beyond that.
For me, I was kind of surprised by how close I think 86 is to To Your Eternity for me. I mean, To Your Eternity is definitely over it, but I love the way they told the 86 story. Like, I really liked it.
I think it's more of a contained thing, and that's the reason. Even though it's clear and 86 is getting a second season, this season was still a more contained thing just because To Your Eternity first season is still ongoing, so it didn't feel like hasn't felt like a very decisive like ending or satisfying ending yet.
Though for To Your Eternity, at least for the sake of the show, where it ended was a pretty good stopping point with where it ended with Gugu and Fushi going off. That's a good stopping point for the sake of this show.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a reason why they took a break, right? They didn't have an episode after that.
Also, I'm happy to report, just in case, they apparently did not do a recap episode, so does not count towards the episode count. So we still get another 9 regular episodes or 8 or whatever it is.
Yeah, but the 86, just the way the story was told out, how they would like withhold things from you, like very strategically, and like make you think one thing, and then you like learn what actually happened later, or like someone's fate was definitely like obscured or something, or they would have like someone die, and instead of showing you this gruesome like death or whatever, they would show you Lena or Shen or the other people reacting to it, and that was like kind of a way to make all the other characters more human and make you like connect with them, even though they didn't have a lot of screen time, but just like seeing, you instantly understood these people all care for each other a whole lot because you saw the like look of horror on their face as this was happening. So like it was very efficient storytelling. It was like, we have all these people we have to endear you to without a whole lot of time, so it's like, we're going to strategically kill this person, make this person really sad, now you like both of them. It was it's dirty, but it was worked very well.
Especially leading towards how they handled the finale for it when we just had a small group left.
Sure.
Oh, and that whole last final half of the episode, what was the penultimate one with Fido?
Gosh damn it, that was so good. So damn good. And it's like
half the episode just showing like a slideshow of like Fido's memories.
As soon as when it started going through that, like with Jeff, I was like, "Fuck these guys! Fuck them! We know what they're doing. Fuck you!" Toying with my emotions. And I think we all probably, would have been very surprised if we went to the like when we had just got done with the Chief arc and told ourselves back then that Megalobox would be 4th under 86. I think we'd all probably be slightly surprised, but I'm like, we all ended up in the same place where like I think the Megalobox story is still very, very good, but I definitely think the back half was weaker than the first half, and that's why it is where it is for me.
Yeah, I think there would be some questions. Yeah, where Megalobox would be. Yeah, if it was as strong as his first 4 or 5 episodes with the Chief arc.
I really like the first 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think back then it probably would have been over. It
was my favorite show back then. Even like competing with.
Oh yeah, I was saying if it kept to that level, I think there would be a conversation of is it the best one potentially.
Yeah,
if it kept to that level
for sure. Yeah, not that the back half was bad, but it was definitely by far, I think, and we all unanimously agreed that like that Chief arc was the peak of the show for sure.
I'm sure most people would agree.
But I mean, for that shadows boosts us up a lot because that was a really, really cool story.
And we end with Shadow's house. It did a very good job, I think, with his mystery with the drip feed in the beginning, and then. When you say the debut, ran a little longer than it should be, but then unfortunately it just petered out at the end.
Yeah.
For reasons as far as the actual property goes, it makes sense, but it's for a product, it's still not good.
It was still a far more interesting story, I think, than any of the other anime we had under there, and that's definitely why it's here. I was way more interested at multiple points in Shadow's house than I was in like
VV or. And I've said multiple times, the story's at least interesting enough for me to try to pick up the manga.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. So now we are going on to best cast. Doop, boop, boop. All right, who wants to go first?
I can go first. Number 1 is Odd Taxi for obviously it's an ensemble show. Like every character that like focuses on is like super strong. I can't think of one that's like I dislike. All of them could be like protagonists in themselves if Odokawa wasn't already our protagonist. It was just really good. Number 2, I have 86. 86 was just fun seeing Lena interact with the other 86 and slowly just watch them dwindle away. While a lot of them didn't get to share the spotlight, like Lena, Shen, and I don't remember the others' names. That's bad when I have them up there for best cast, but they were just all great and just supporting the actual narrative, even if they didn't have great impacts to narrative themselves. To Your Eternity, everyone Gugu meets is super sweet. Love them. I know they're going to die, but it's okay.
We'll love them anyway.
Yeah. Number 4, I have Megalobox, even though I will say the supporting cast was better again in that first half than the second. It's funny when they bring back the old characters, supporting cast was a little weaker around Joe.
Yeah, I agree.
And number 5, I had Shadow House, just because really, besides Emilio and Kate, I don't really care about anyone else
Same.
as much. Yeah.
But I actively hated everyone in Tokyo Revengers and not Vivi. I mean, there was some good in Vivi, but I was looking at what could be under that, and I'm like, no, it's Shadow House.
Yeah, basically Sam.
Yeah. Mine's very, very similar. I have Odd Taxi, same reasons. I have Odd Taxi, 86, To Your Eternity, then Megalobox, then Shadow's House. Definitely, I mean, I'm right there with. Wait, are we exactly the same? We are exactly the same.
It's almost the same. It's like
I didn't notice either.
All right, yep. Everything Alex said, I agree with completely. I didn't realize that either. Yeah, I guess the only thing I'll jump in and say just with 86 is kind of what I was already saying, that it was very impressive that like you said, I don't even know a lot of these people's names and stuff, and they didn't necessarily individually have the most impact, but I still cared a lot when any of them died, because it just felt like a piece of the team was lost. It was so that was a hard story to tell, and I think they did a very good job of using those characters.
Right. I'm the odd man out here as far as one particular show. Number 1 had Odd Taxi. I don't think it's a surprise. Yeah, the story lived and died on its characters. and we had his best narrative and all that. Not surprised. Number 2, I had To Your Eternity. Yep, love the characters. Like Alex said, you just love whoever Fushi meets, and I feel like, I mean, you guys have had them high, but I think as far as like characters and stuff, I've had the like in best girl, best boy, some more of the characters just a little higher in general.
Yeah, I'll say like, I think it's like somewhat obvious from my picks. While I definitely like them, I think I'm definitely the lowest on the Gugu Reen arc, or whatever, like the whole second arc of To Your Eternity. I personally think March and Perona was like a way stronger arc overall for me, but I still do like them. Whatever, but yeah.
Very strong cast. It is to me excited who we're going to meet next. I have Megalobox here at number 3. Obviously, the Chief arc and those people were very strong, but I like the second half. I like what they did with the returning characters, even if I think as far as that section, the cast may not have been the strongest compared to other ones. And I think what put it over 86 was my 4th one for me is just what they did with Mac. It's like, oh, I really care about this guy, and it makes it feel like he's actually a main character for this. I thought that was really well done with how they did his story. And made me care for him at the end, where it's like, it's not just an opponent. I want both Joe and Mac to come out of this okay. And I was worried I would want to get either. Shoutouts, I think I'm stronger on the cast than you guys. Obviously, Emilico and Kate are by far the strongest characters, but like John and Sean, I like okay. The other ones, I will agree with you, are a little weaker, but yeah. Do enjoy that cast overall, and I think the debut arc did do a good bit for those characters for me, because I didn't care about them really going into it. I think it did enough there to at least in the future. Unfortunately, the follow-up to that again was just not good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Where are those medals?
Medals. So the bronze medal, Megalobox. Silver, another tie. 86 and To Your Eternity. And again, runaway victory for Odd Taxi. Just racking in those wins.
It's taking so many golds. So many golds.
Let's see if we'll take it for best main character.
I mean, come on.
Oh, well. As soon as
Or
it
best
comes up.
protagonist. Yep.
I just had it under character, I think. Wait, no, I didn't. What do I have this under? Oh, Protag is what I have it under.
Protagonist.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it as protagonist.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah. I'll go first this
The boy's
time.
gotta be-
I have Odakawa. I mean, yeah, come on. He was just the most interesting
Up until
throughout
the
this whole
final
thing.
episode, we were still like, did this man murder someone? I don't know.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah. I have Joe at number 2. Why, you ask? I don't know. It was just a weird thing where he was in the back for his story a lot of the time, but for some reason that made his arc in some way stronger for me. Just
Yeah,
the way it was done.
It was his influence on everyone
Yeah.
else. I agree. I like Joe a lot in this season. Yeah.
It was really well done. Fushi, in some ways, he was one of the up there is one of the most interesting protagonists, just because he was a completely blank slate, and it was just very interesting to see. Like we mentioned earlier, his growth and how these people actually had an impact on him, and all that, and how he had an impact on these people for the little time he actually spent with them. I have. I'll just say my 4 and 5 back to back. The 2 main characters of 86, Shin and Lena. I put them both there. They both did really good for what they were supposed to do, showing both sides of this world.
Yeah.
And they're, like Darby mentioned in the best couple category, their dynamics with each other is great.
Yep. Yeah. Odokawa obviously is my number 1. He's the lifeblood of that show. But my number 2 and 3 is Lena, and then Shin as well. And yeah, similar to what Jeff was saying, I think how they're completely opposites, living completely opposite sides of this war and opposite lives, but still like connect to each other. But they don't connect immediately, which is like something I love in there. I love Lena as far as someone who is. It would be easy for Lena to just be like, yep, she lives in this racist society and she's trying to be a good person, so she's just all good. Everything she does is like good because of how bad everything is around her. But like, I like that she is called out by Shin and some of the 86 to be like, no, you don't know what it's like. You don't know about any of this or whatever. And it's like, it's easy for you to say all this when you get to live in a very nice life of luxury. And I thought just a lot of that character growth felt like real and not anime, and just not in the way that I expected it. I like really think they were both too strong, and I think they were pretty much co-main characters in a way. Lena a little bit more, but there you go. And then I have Fushi, like kind of like Jeff was saying. I think Fushi is just a fascinating writing prompt. It's like, how do you, if we make a story, it's like with these interesting set of rules, and like how do we turn this character slowly into something that you like really care about in an emotional way. And I think they do a very good job. And Joe, I also agree with Jeff. You see the impact of Joe all over that story, and I kind of actually like that they use him a lot more sparingly and subtle, and focus more on like how he affected everyone. So I think it was very strong.
So number 1, surprise, surprise, Odokawa. Just I don't need to say anything. Like, Odd Taxi's just running away with the gold, so he's just there. Lena, I really like Lena. I didn't put Shin on my list because I consider her just the protagonist.
Well,
her and Shin are both like co-protagonists.
We kind of copped out for
Yeah,
sure.
well, the reason I decided, I think I told Darby this before he did his list, is I looked under the animelist.com or whatever it is, and under the cast, they had them both as main character or protagonist or whatever. I was like, well, it counts.
Yeah. I probably still wouldn't have put Shin because even though I think Lena is the stronger of the two characters, and Shin, even though he's fine, I don't know, he doesn't actively do anything for me in terms of just like, oh yeah, I love that character out. He could have been like almost played by anyone, even though he does the job well in terms of just the archetype. Emilico, I like Emilico. She grew she learned things. She grew. It shames that the end of Chow House just kind of stunk, but I like seeing her grow throughout the entire season. Her use her intuition to solve problems. Basically, they do with Fushi just as grow throughout the show for my number 4. It's like seeing good old Orb come sentient and actually have emotion. Yeah. And for Joe's the similar reason that Darby has. I like Joe's impact on the show, but most of his impact happened before we even actually see anything in the show for season 2. And I like seeing just the fallout of that and everyone basically living with the consequences of his actions and everything resolving around him. I do like Joe.
Absolutely.
Joe.
So, for the bronze medal, Orb himself, Fushi, takes it. Oh. Silver medal, you got Lena from 86.
Very nice.
And the gold, once again, Odokawa, Odd Taxi takes it.
Someone stop this man.
Now let's see if the reign of terror will stop in best antagonist. Not looking at mine and Darby's.
Oh my god. I think we like the show. I think we like the show a little bit.
Okay, he wants to go first.
So this is
Before we
the
start,
biggest
I do have a
bloodbath.
question. I forgot who Tanaka is. Who's Tanaka?
Gotcha, dude. The gotcha game guy. The guy with the gun. Killing Odokawa. Yeah.
Yeah, the serial killer
Damn.
man.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
That would be
I'm
awesome to
making-
be number 3.
You're making
Tanaka's going to be my number 3, so I think Odd Taxi takes the bronze, silver, and gold.
The fucking
So,
flip.
Dobu gold, silver Yano, bronze Tanaka.
Let's go.
Sorry,
man.
Hayase.
Do you have like the total number of medals that everything won at the end?
No, I did not. I'll need to calculate.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to do that like for this video, obviously, but I just want to know. I mean, like, yeah, we could all just like briefly talk about those 3. I mean,
Well,
just-
the thing is, here's the thing. The funny thing is, if Alex knocks it down based on what I've seen on his list, We all have the same list, just slightly different order.
The only difference is just at the very end. Of
The order of the last two.
I mean, I think this just goes in. Odd Taxi was its characters, and it had the best cast. So when it had antagonists, there's technically like 3 of them or more if you like count some other people.
Yeah, and I feel like for a lot of the shows didn't have like big antagonists, or at least wasn't a focus. Or in the case of Shadow House, Edward wasn't nearly as interesting as the rest of the ones on the ones we have on this list.
I wasn't putting Edward.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. I mean, that's one when I was thinking, like, okay, who could potentially be eligible? He popped in my head first.
Even when I got to number 5, like I didn't want to put Shin's brother because I honestly it was not my favorite part of 86. But then when I was looking at all the things, I was like, I don't know who the fuck else I would put for number 5.
That's
so
the reason I had the Tokyo Meiji Gang at number 5. Like it was just like I was trying to think of something, and I wasn't putting like because whenever I made these lists, I really looked at every show and just wrote down like who the what would qualify for that category and just pieced it together. And whenever I was looking, I was like, God, Edward, Tokyo Meiji Gang. I don't even care about Tokyo Revengers, but it has to be them because fuck Edward. He's awful. He's the worst.
Sucks.
He's just a bad character.
But it is the difference.
I don't understand. Okay, sorry to go back. I don't understand Edward's motivation of capturing Emilico, because he just assumes Kate is defecting, even though Kate has shown no possible she hasn't shown that she was going to defect. She's only thought it, and all of a sudden somehow Edward knows, so he kidnaps Emilico to gain a rank. I don't understand the logic. Why is he targeting Kate?
Alex, sorry. 2 words: anime only. They need to come up with a conflict.
I know, it's so bad. Sorry, I forgot to bring that up. It's so bad.
Yeah.
He's just a very uninteresting character just from the get-go anyway. But, yeah. I don't think we even really... okay, yeah, I just remember, I was like, who the fuck is Hey? That's the 2-year eternity lady who is, kind of crazy. I also, she's kind of, scary in a way, especially at the very end or whatever, but I also don't even think that she was that strong of a character, to be honest. I think she might be a stronger character going forward now that she's just completely lost it. But even her, it was antagonists just really weren't really the strength, though. I don't think of these shows other than Odd Taxi.
I think it's forced to your Eternity or the Knockers, which, as far as characters, aren't really much of anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought about them too, and it's that's not really the antagonist in the sense that we're thinking about. That's kind of that's like saying the White Walkers in Game of Thrones or something. It's which I guess.
See, even Megalobox didn't have an antagonist. Who do you put? Mac?
Elon Musk, and he sucks.
Yeah, he crossed my mind. Nah,
he sucks.
But he's also not a great character. I would.
No, he's not.
But
it does show the difference of people. I do think Tokyo Meiji Clan. If I had to actually put out all 10 shows antagonists, it would probably be the bottom.
Well, as far as Shin's brother goes, Shurai putting it on here, it's kind of more and again, this was a comparison to other ones. He was more like a driving force and actively trying to go against them.
Yeah.
Even if it was some kind of weird, crazy mind control robot shit. Kind of you kind of felt stuff when his voice actor come in. He just yelled Shin sometimes and all that.
Yeah, that's easy enough to be aware of this. All right. Best animation.
Best animation, indeed. Let me get them time codes. Okay. Righty. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first because we're finally bringing it into this Odd Taxi shit. It's over. VV.
Well, it's not even
best animation. You can't even argue VV doesn't have the best animation because it literally just has the biggest budget to it. It's just the flow of motion to it is just really good. Every frame, it's just really good. As soon as any action has, it just looks gorgeous.
Yep.
I guess I probably should have looked back at more VV because I just immediately thought about her riding the eyeball monster and it looked really bad. But I'm sure everything else probably looks really good. I didn't look back.
Well, I think you're thinking of 3D modeling stuff. It's it didn't look great, but when it's actually the hand drawing and stuff. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Everything in motion in VV is really good.
Yeah.
Like 86, same thing. The motion to 86 is just really nice. They use it very sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it pretty high for that. But whenever it is moving, it is just very pretty, especially in the fights. Same thing with Joran. Joran's animation is good during the fights, is pretty meh.
I think it's
else.
only
Spoiler
good in
alert,
the fights.
I didn't put it partly because I agreed that like some of the fights are good, but I think that was on the tail, like right after Darby and I watched that episode, which didn't have much, so that soured my opinion on it.
Yeah. The animation to itself is good. It's just like it doesn't have much unless there's action. Megalobox's animation actually is pretty like okay throughout, but it's nothing fantastic. Even the fights are not like super choreographed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Shadow House, which is pretty average animation, but it honestly doesn't even turn up in the big moments. It just kind of like it gives a little cheer at the big moments. There's a little spice, but not nothing.
Yeah, it's best.
Nothing
There's
too much.
really nothing about like animation that like really jumps out.
No,
at me. It's
really,
Shadow's House.
VV and 86
But,
are
like,
the only ones that have like
and just really for any
really
detail.
stand out.
Even
Honestly,
To Your Eternity, like, kind of has its big moments with the bear, but other than that, it doesn't really,
Yeah, To Your Eternity maybe should have went over Shadow House. Now I'm thinking about it because it does have really good animation at its fights, but it's also pretty average when it's not.
Yeah, to be honest, like, I can, like, go fast here because, like, I really don't like VV. I'm sure I watched that Elizabeth fight and it was really good. I think I was like maybe ranking just the shows I like too much. Like, that should probably be up there. I don't really care about a lot of these other than 86. I think the 86, just the way they animated the like robots fighting and everything, and they kind of made my cynical, pessimistic ass about 3D models and 3D animation, and completely like made me
You did it, boys.
love it here. I still think a lot of times it's like not used as well, but I think they used it like more sparingly, and it kind of made those robots scarier in that way. The contrast was almost like, made them look like more intimidating. So I think those like fight scenes and everything were really, really, really well done. My order after this is To Your Eternity, Megalobox, VV, and Joran. None of these are really particularly that interesting overall. Joran, I think the Okami art style thing can sometimes be cool, but then there's other parts where it just straight up looks bad. Like that finale had some animation that was probably like the worst animation outside of Super Cub for this whole show. This whole thing, like some of it, sometimes it's just not good. So it's very hit or miss. So yeah, I don't really care that much about the rest of these.
I got a confession to make as far as my list goes. There was an oopsie. A lot of I made my list on a separate thing, then copy and pasted and switched order and all that. I thought I had 86 higher, and I did. I did have 86 at number 2. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Alex, if that messed things up.
I'm doing some quick math real quick. You're fine.
My apologies. Let me go through my thing. VV, kind of like Alex said, just there's a lot of money into it. Overall, that was the most top-notch animation. It's the kind of like what people say. It's Oscar bait. It is Oscar bait for anime awards, but it was a joy to look at. 86, kind of like you guys were saying, with even if it's just mainly the battle animation and stuff, that was very well done. And Darby, if you came out of this being like, oh, 3D animation's still just bad, I'd be like, Darby, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
you saw 86.
Yeah, it was very good.
To Your Eternity, I thought it was solid. There are definitely sometimes, like I think during the last episode, there are there definitely were sometimes with the animation where it's like, okay, this is a quote unquote longer running show, so budget stuff was done somewhere, but it can look really nice when they really put, when you can tell they put
I
in the
really
money.
like the March scene whenever he's fighting the knockers and he's just down to March and he's like running across like the tree limbs and stuff.
And Megalobox, kind of like Alex said, it's very nice to look at and all that kind of stuff, but relatively simple and all that, but very nice and did what it needed to do.
Yes.
Kind of was Shadow House as well. There was less time to show that, but some of the times when I think of when Emilico and Kate were going down that river whatever thing at the end there. So there are times like that. It's like, okay, there's actually some nice animation here. And some like earlier on when they did the whole cleaning thing with the monsters thing, that stuff looked good. It's not like the craziest animation ever, but so kind of thought that's like that stuff was nice.
Fair. All right, were you able to do your math in that time? Did we stall on enough?
Yes. It did swap up the winner, and now I don't agree with the winner. I'm very upset now. I think it was better when Jeff kept 86 a little farther down, but with the bronze medal, Megalobox, with the silver medal, previously got robbed of its gold place. VV is silver now, and with gold, 86.
You can't blame me. I put VV at number 1.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is kind of like I just like got very apathetic about this category because I just didn't care about most of them. VV probably should be higher.
Honestly, 86 and VV are the two best animated shows on here, mostly because they have the two biggest studios behind them, like A1 Studios. I can't remember the one behind VV.
You can put VV as number 2 for me.
No. Like 86 still has good animation, so like at least it wasn't like Megalobox took it, and I was just like, that's not Megalobox's strength. The animation was that. But 86 taking it all.
Let's
see.
It's
also gonna take it all, I can promise you.
Next one, biggest surprise. Well, let's get it out of the way. We've been saying it all freaking season. 86 is the biggest surprise. Surprise. We talked about it from the beginning, and like, you know, it looked good, it had an interesting premise, but just kind of with the art style and thing, it's like okay, this could just be kind of generic. We knock it off maybe halfway through the season.
Yeah, even if you actually told me like everything that happens in the story, I would still kind of be like, yeah, this could be very generic or whatever. But like the way that they would like cut between the people, use like sound design or lack of sound to like communicate things, like the cinematography, for lack of a better word, was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and it told me that at the end of the season, all three of us are going to be hyped for the new season coming up in October, I believe it is.
Yeah. And I didn't really care about the 2 and 3 to be honest about this.
I just kind of filled up. I had my number 2 as To Your Eternity. This kind of, I expected to be good, but I was just kind of surprised at the overall quality of it and how it made me feel with the characters and all that. Again, just kind of feel slot. And I put my number 3 in Mashura episode 1 for how hilariously bad it is. Unfortunately, the rest of it didn't follow, but
basically the same reasoning, because I have Mashiro and To Your Eternity just swapped, and it's basically the same reasoning. Mashiro, that episode 1 was something special, and it's the same thing with 2 Your Eternity, because I already heard good things going in. I was just expecting it to be enthralled by
what was better, Mashiro episode 1 or my description of Mashiro episode 1?
Your description for sure. I would
your
think
description for sure. Like that description of Joran was pretty good from this previous episode as well. Makes me really happy I had to watch it.
Yeah.
I guess I'll briefly talk about my only difference. I had Mashiro episode 1 in there too, and number 3. I put my number 2 as Megalobox because the tone was just such a. I mean, it kind of ended up becoming somewhat more of a similar thing to 1, but still overall, I would say the tone of Megalobox season 2 was like very different. Kind of what its goal to set out to do. Like it's just like a very different type of show. Where I think season 1 was, just very like kind of by the books, but hype boxing story, and this was way more a reflective character study that like had a very atypical structure to how it told its story. So I just wasn't expecting that kind of stuff from Megalobox. I was like, okay, this is gonna be another like cool, fun boxing story, and I definitely think it took a swing for something else, and that was
it's better for it.
Yeah.
Well, on the opposite end of it, let's talk about our biggest disappointments, boys. Let's get a little negative. Is Octax gonna win this one?
Be some questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alex. I didn't let you do your medals.
It's just for that just has one. 86. 86 gets the gold.
That's
That's
the only one that matters.
Not all of these need gold, silver, and bronze. So.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
This one deserves it, that one, when we get to it.
All right.
I'll go first. Joran, I was super hyped for. Why was it so bad? Why was the plot the most like, why was everyone backstabbing, but at the same time just like in love with each other? Like every 20 seconds, every scene had someone betraying each other, and then 3 scenes later, them being friends. It was so bad. I just, Tokyo Revengers at my number two. I guess mostly because like I thought the general plot was very interesting, but just the characters just never really got there. It's a shonen. Some shonen start off bad and can just get there eventually. It's just when I'm watching like 10 anime a week, I don't have time for it to get good, so it just had to go. Three, Shadow House. From the beginning, I thought Shadow House was a little slow, and I was a little scared it would never get there. And it never really got there for me. It just never really got there. It just fulfilled all my fears, and then an anime-only ending just to top it all off. And then the number 4 was Super Cub. I actually was looking forward to just a little slice of life, and then about a cub, but was hoping it would be more than just her on her cub. And that's it.
Especially I've started watching Eurocamp again. That shit's really, really good and really, really cozy. And I was like, oh yeah, I wish Super Cup was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my number 1 is Shadow's House, just because I feel like I was like championing it for a lot. Like, you know, when we were talking about it was like slow, I kept being one of the ones that was like, but you can see the paths it's getting there. It's gonna carve its way there. And like, I kind of agree with Alex that like, even ending aside, I don't think it got as far as it should have gotten with as many episodes as we watched, and as much ground as we covered. Like I think they did reveal some interesting things, but I think they needed to reveal more than they did. For me personally, at least, to be interested enough to continue on. So like, that was my biggest disappointment, just because like, I just thought, you know, I felt like I was championing it and got kind of burned. Second is Tokyo Revengers. I mean, I really, really don't like this show, but it's not like my number 1 because I wasn't like super looking forward to it, but I definitely thought I was going to like it more than I did. And number 3, kind of same thing for Joran. It's like, I did not perceive it being that bad. So.
My number 1, Tokyo Revengers. It took the number 1 spot over Joran, which is my number 2, because kind of went into it. I was like, okay, I think there's still something here where Joran kind of quickly was like, okay, this just isn't it. But it just didn't get there, and read some stuff. It sounds like it still doesn't get there, so shame. Joran, yeah, as we said before, it just turned out to be very bad. I have End of Shadow House. I actually disagree with you guys, where I liked what it was doing up to the anime thing. I thought the pacing generally was fine. Maybe the debut could have gone slightly faster, but not to level, especially, I think, yeah, Darby wanted to go a lot faster. So, and as I said, throughout this thing, I'm interested in picking up the manga and seeing where the actual main story goes without anime nonsense.
Yep. If it goes good, tell me, and I'll probably pick it up as well.
Okay.
But in terms of the... Oh, God. No, go ahead. I was going to do the metal, so go ahead and say
there's like certain things that like when I think about, early on when the girl got the soot sickness, I was like, oh shit, like the animation got like really weird, and it was like, oh shit, that was almost like, that was kind of like actual horror vibes for a second. It was like a little like second of like, this has been very like slow and happy, cheerful in some ways, whatever, and now all of a sudden it's like, okay, this person's getting like possessed in this weird way. I feel like we never really got that, like the next step of that promise. I know we got the mind control thing,
yeah,
but like that had a vibe of like just looking in her eyes, and when it was like, oh shit, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like that was when we came to that episode to talk about it, and I was like, shit, see, here we go. Like that's just like a little preview to what we're gonna slowly build towards, and I feel like that was the scariest part of the whole show. And I'm not even saying this needed to be like scary per se, but like I wanted it to be like more thrilling in a sense like that. Yeah. Just
yeah.
For example.
Well, when it came down to the voting, I included Jeff's End of Shadow House in the general Shadow House points. So it takes the bronze medal for most disappointing. Kind of crazy how a show that made it to the end gets the bronze medal, but Yeah.
But expectations kind of play into the
Yeah.
disappointment sometimes. We're not saying it's
Yeah.
actually worse than these other shows, obviously.
But the potential of Shadow House is like
Yeah.
so big, and it's
Right.
just hasn't got there yet. The silver medal, Joran, and the gold, the only gold this show will be taking, and that's Tokyo Revengers.
Sag.
Indeed.
Yep. Sorry, spoilers for people who are hoping out for Tokyo Revengers for best of show and best mug.
Yeah. Or best art style, which is what we are doing right now. Alrighty.
Wonder who's going to win this.
Yeah, I wonder. I'll go first. I have at number 1 a Taxi. I think we all surprising,
What?
crazy, and I think what that ending adds to it with how the art style shift, not just the character design, but if you kind of notice the backgrounds, the kind of got less fuzzy, I guess, and more just normal. It got more bland, but that's the point.
Yes, right.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
I had let's see. I had To Your Eternity at number 2. I really like what they did with stuff and just the design of everything. It just kind of very fantasy-ish, and we've talked about more early on, just kind of Ghibli-ness in a way. Really appreciate it. Megalobox, it's just a good old style 90s anime kind of thing. Just very good posy vibes.
Yep.
Vivi, just very nice and colorful. Obviously, we talked about the animation is very good. I think that also extends to the art style. It's just very solid all around, and it just pops in a lot of areas. And Joran had very interesting art style, and the colors and all that, and how it's shifted when there was actual fight scenes and all that, I think was very cool. It just unfortunately wasn't interesting. The actual content of those scenes weren't as interesting.
Oh, go ahead.
Taxi, obviously, like you said, the art style is just so unique, and as far as an anime is concerned, it's just like nothing quite looks like it. And the fact they used the art style to like tell the story, it was part of the story, and just the colors just like really popped in that show. I think it was like really weird. 86 is my number 2. I just really like the way this looks, and I mean, I guess it's like partially art style. It's like kind of a weird thing, but like I remember like right from the very beginning when they just showed that city, I was like, this like for some reason this is like really interesting to me, where it has this like kind of old England type vibe mixed with sci-fi, mixed with like 1984 dystopian, like it has like kind of like a almost Nazi Germany type vibe to it too. It was like an interesting clash of like sci-fi with that, where it was like slightly unsettling but also beautiful in a way, and like I thought that stuff was really cool. And then obviously the actual like fight scenes in the wilderness and everything, but like moments like when they go into that abandoned town, and it just like gets like 86 can get like surprisingly touching and beautiful at times when it's like with some of its visuals. So it just, that art style really stuck with me. Then I have To Your Eternity. I think some of To Your Eternity, like I think of like in the house and stuff with Boozman and everything, can definitely start to look like generic anime backgrounds. But when To Your Eternity is on, I think they're pretty on. Like when we think about like the bear fight and how the knockers look and things like that. So it's like definitely because it's a longer running show. But I think, you know, when it hits, it hits. Megalobox, like you said, I love how it straight up looks like Cowboy Bebop type. It looks like a show made in the 90s in a good way, in the best possible way. And then Vivi is just very, very pretty, obviously. Yeah, yes.
So number 1, I have Odd Taxi. For just everything we've said this entire last hour. It's just a very pretty show. Next up, Megalobox again. Yeah, that's that 90s anime style. Almost has like with the Megaloboxing itself and the gear. It almost has like a steampunk feel, but not really.
Yeah.
It's just really cool. Next I have for number 3, it's Vivi, and I just love the just kind of like idle feel of all the characters and the just futuristic world that's set in. It's pretty cool. I do Joran, number 4, Joran. I do like the main character's design whenever she does her little transformation and everything.
Yeah,
and
her
the
design's
supporting
very
cast-
strong.
Yeah, it's just so good, and I just wish the entire show could have coasted off that alone. But yeah, and last I have 2 Year Attorney. A 2 Year Attorney, I think, like the actual backgrounds and all that are pretty simple, but the character designs are just very, very pleasing, especially the main ones around around Fushi.
Indeed.
Boosh.
Fushi. And with those character designs around Fushi, he'll take the bronze medal back home to Gugu
He needs it.
and to Gugu's grave. And
Too soon.
silver, Megalobox will take it. And with gold, another gold, Odd Taxi.
Right back at it again.
Right back at it.
But
again.
will Odd Taxi take best mug?
Tell me about the mugs derby. Because I put nothing in this category.
And you don't need to. We don't need any of it because there is only one winner. If I can ever find the thing. Oh my god, where did Art go? Okay. there it is. All right, y'all ready for this?
You know it.
Okay, that's up there. As you can see, we didn't really participate much there, but I did my research. I looked at 86, just standard white coffee mugs, nothing. Like just basic as basic.
How could they do this to you?
Be. I looked at Edward's teacup. Just kind of a teacup, isn't it? And it's not even a mug, is it? It's a fucking teacup. It's a kettle.
The best I had.
It's not even no. I appreciate your effort, Alex. But we can do better than that. So
I put your mug up there.
I went to
Best anime mug.
obviously went to Let's Make a Mug too. I'm like, okay, all right. I humored these other ones. So like, I looked at some Odd Taxi, never found a mug. Whatever. I'm sure there's probably a mug in there. But it doesn't matter if there's a mug in there because it would lose. Because in Let's Make a Mug 2, there's mini mugs. I looked at the mug that was like her deceased mom made or whatever, and that's her like prized mug. Nothing special about that mug. It's just a green mug with a moon on it. Fucking, like, there's a bunch of other green mugs. There's a bunch of other mugs that have moons on it. There are other colors. I don't know why this one's so special. But all those mugs, none of them matter. Because the winner of Best Mug for Anime Gauntlet Spring 2021 is Muscle Mug.
Yeah, that wins.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the best mug. You're not topping this shit. That's peak form. This is what peak performance looks like, okay?
I'm sorry, everyone. Go home.
Congratulations to Muscle Mug. Like, we're very
Is that
proud.
from to Make a Mug 2?
Hell yeah, it is, dude.
Alex, we could have had that, but you beat Mashiro.
It would have been. Listen, if Mashiro died first, but I'm pretty sure to Make a Mug 2 would have died first.
Oh, Mashiro died as early as it could, so it couldn't
Yeah.
die earlier.
Well, yes, it could, because it could die as early as it could. If we didn't get Mashiro, this would have died.
Yeah, I'm just saying it would have died the same time that Mashiro ended
Exactly,
up
that's
dying.
what I meant. It would have died the exact same time.
Yeah,
It
but we
wouldn't have
wouldn't have
mattered.
had
We
to
wouldn't have
watch
seen
another.
Muscle
We
Mug.
wouldn't have had to watch another Mashiro though.
2 more.
Yeah.
2 more. That's the whole thing.
But then we would have to watch Let's Make a Mug 2. No one wanted to do that.
I mean, Jeff, you're seeing this Muscle Mug. aren't you?
Yeah, Muscle Mug.
I mean, Muscle Mug or weird. Or
Baby
weird teenage romance with probably an underage girl. I would go with the Muscle Mug person.
Underage boy. The girl was older.
Okay, either way, whatever. I don't care. Muscle Mug.
Why did the mug skip leg day though?
Well,
Yeah.
no one cares. he's fine. He lifts. He doesn't need this.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, this has all been fun, but we need to get to the real shit. All this has been just a warm up for.
Please tell me Mug had a timestamp.
It did.
Okay.
It did. Don't worry. I got you.
Okay.
But now we got to talk about the best anime of the season.
Hot diggity damn! I wonder what it is.
Yep. Whatever could it be? So
Do
everyone,
we even have to explain our things? Let's just go through the medals real
Okay, I was
fast.
about to say that we're probably all the same, but we did switch.
I
the
do
day
got
or
a
whatever.
swap
We
going
did
on
a
in mine.
swap, but
Yeah,
yes.
I'm surprised because we did kind of have overlap with best show and best narrative. They're probably going to be the same. But
not exactly.
I guess, yeah, true. But I guess medal wise, bronze went to 86.
86.
86. And silver, 2 years earning. And gold, with its 80th win of the season, Odd Taxi takes just racked up as much gold as possible.
yep.
Well, you definitely obviously we barely even need to talk about any of these. I think we pretty much talked about why we had all these. I definitely got the vibe going through. I'm not like, now that when we see it or whatever, I was like, oh, there's a swap, and then I see what the swap was, and I was like, okay, that makes sense, because you definitely seem way higher, not way higher, but you're like higher on Megalobox and lower on 86 than me and Alex. It seems like these are all by narrow margins. I know.
Yeah. They're like the thing is, as far as this list, it's the top 4 are freaking fantastic. It would be one of the best animes, if not the best, of most seasons. And then there's a pretty big jump to Shadow's House. But the top 4 are just all damn good.
Yep.
I agree.
With Odd Taxi being an all-timer as the number.
It's legitimately an all-timer.
And I'm happy to see, as the season's gone on, reading like the internet and all that kind of stuff, is more people getting to Odd Taxi, and pretty much anyone watching it agrees, like, or watching it and be like, this is great.
The Anime Guy and Mother's Basement are both been pushing it on their Twitter, and more people are getting into it. And it's right now on my anime list. It's rising, and it's already up to, I think, number 30 of all-time anime.
Nice.
In terms of rating.
It's one of those things where I normally do not give a shit about like Crunchyroll Anime Awards, but if Odd Taxi doesn't at least get nominated for Anime of the Year, because I know what those people like, is a crime.
This is a bullshit award. Well, congratulations to Odd Taxi for coming in first on our best of show for Anime Gauntlet Spring 2021. Gentlemen, that was a lot of fun doing all this with you. It was a lot of anime. It was a lot of talking into microphones. We will be doing Anime Gauntlet in the future. We will not be doing this weekly format probably ever again, but I mean, like, maybe in a smaller version for other things. Not that we definitely enjoyed it, but I think we're probably gonna be going for more of a just talk about a show once or twice as a whole.
I think thinking, looking at what's coming up in the future seasons, we just kind of lucked out with the amount of anime.
But I don't regret this at all. This was like a ton of fun, and there was definitely, we got something out of a lot of these by being able to talk about them week to week. Like, being able to discuss like what the hell's going on with Odd Taxi week to week would definitely is the best way to do. It was really fun. Yep. So look forward to, I think we all decided that Modoka Magica is next. So at some point we will be discussing that. So look forward to it. And until then,
Bye.
bye.